Hello and welcome to marketing91.com. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on factors affecting distribution channels. Now, this particular topic will be covered in 3 parts. This video is part 1. In total, there are 9 factors that affect distribution channels. In this video, we'll be covering the first 3. Let's start with the first one, channel design. Channel management begins with planning and designing channel systems. By channel, we mean distribution channel. There might be some changes or modifications made while the system is being applied. This leads to the final selection of channel members or partners. It is important to design and implement the channel system and strategy well. This lets companies increase their ability to complete projects more efficiently. Important questions which need to be asked. First, how long should be a channel? That is, what number of channel members does the distribution network need? Next, what are the roles, responsibilities, activities of each individual channel member? Are there any doubts about these roles and responsibilities? Third, do channel members know the relationship they are supposed to share? Is it completely clear to them? Next, how should channel members' performance be evaluated? How often should these performance be judged? And finally, what should be an appropriate control system for managing the channel members? Moving on to the second, channel policy. A few channel policies should be thought of for proper functioning of the channel system while it is being developed. One can also say that the channel policies should help decide how a channel system is being designed. Many important areas or factors are covered by these policies. The 6 major policy areas are: first, market coverage. Sales policy decides which market should be serviced. These can be industrial products, consumer durables, or FMCGs. Next, channel coverage and servicing. This follows in part from market coverage. First, it is decided which market should be covered. After that, it is determined what number of channels to be covered should be, or the number of channel members who will serve these markets. Third, a company's channel policy decides which products will be sold through these channels. Ideally, products of a different or dissimilar kind should be sold through different channels. Fourth, product pricing. This is a sensitive issue. It is difficult to set a correct policy for pricing. This is because the channel members of a company who help set pricing policy directly influence their margins. Next, choice of channel partners. Policy decides this choice. It is important to understand how this policy is applied. Channels of wholesalers and retailers are usually independent. This excludes company showrooms and exclusive dealerships. So the question of selection does not arise in this case. But company policy does decide how CRF agents, distributors, franchise showrooms, and exclusive dealers are selected. And finally, termination of channel partners. Channel partners are distributors who link the company to channel members lower down the system. This mostly happens when distributors start working with another company, especially when it is a rival firm. Moving on to the third, that is channel conflict. When a channel member competes with his channel partner or a vendor's internal sales department, it is known as channel conflict. In this situation, channel partners might try to undercut each other. This could cause companies and partners to make losses. This makes channel partners inefficient. It also creates unnecessary situations and problems in sales. At times, partners come to agreement to avoid channel conflict. An example of this is the deal registration between manufacturer and channel partner. Moving on to the types of channel conflicts. First, vertical level conflicts. A difference of opinion between two channel members on consecutive levels is known as a vertical conflict. Example, if a toy manufacturer's product arrives at retail stores later than expected, there might be a conflict between the manufacturer and the wholesaler who ships to the retailers. Next, horizontal level conflicts. As the word stated, when there is a lack of agreement between multiple channel members at the same level, it is called a horizontal conflict. Example, imagine a toy manufacturer has 2 wholesalers. Retailers from 2 different regions buy their products from them. There might be a conflict if one wholesaler starts selling products to retailers in the other region. And third, multi-channel conflicts. When there are disagreement between members in different marketing channels, it is called a multi-channel conflict. These aren't always only vertical or horizontal. Every member of every single channel can be affected by these conflicts. For example, imagine a toy manufacturer with 2 marketing channels. The manufacturer sells its goods straight to the consumers in the first channel, that is done through an official website. In the second channel, the manufacturer sells its goods to wholesalers who then sell it to retailers. Now, if the products in the toy manufacturer's website are cheaper than the retail stores, then the sales in the second channel will reduce. The conflict this will create requires some solution that works for both the channels. Now moving on to reason for conflicts. First, role ambiguity, when the roles of members aren't made clear to them. Second, goal incompatibility. This happens when the manufacturers or channel members are not compatible with each other. Third, mismatch of market perception. This happens when a company's judgment of the market is in one way and the prospect of a channel member is different. Third, bias or target fixing. The sales management team will always feel that more products can be sold by channel members. This leads to unrealistic targets being set. This is not something channel members will agree with. Fifth, competitor inducement. A dispute between a company and channel member might be created by a competitor. This is an unethical strategy used by a competitor. This aims to create hurdles for any company which has good terms with its channel members and sells its products easily. Now looking at some examples, starting with the first one, the conflict between Nike and Amazon. Nike stops direct sale of clothes and shoes on Amazon. In November 2019, Nike ended an agreement to sell directly on Amazon.com. Although third-party sellers still share a relationship with Nike, but Nike's role will not be of Amazon's wholesaler. Nike and Amazon's relationship began in 2017. In the beginning, Nike wanted to keep a control on the products when they were put up on the website, reduce sales from illegal distributors as well as grey market or knockoff products being sold by third-party distributors. Over a couple of years, Nike hasn't been able to do this. Nike faced competition from third-party sellers. These sellers had more reviews than Nike, and that is why they had an advantage. The agreement was ended because Nike wants to use its website and app to sell more products directly to customers. Nike now wants to work with only 40 retail partners. So technically, Nike products are available on Amazon, but they are sold by third-party distributors and not directly by Nike. Moving on to the other example of McDonald's, about the conflict between McDonald's and its franchisees. Black former franchisees sued McDonald's over discrimination. In August 2020, black former franchisees had a legal dispute with McDonald's. They said they were forced to sell or close up to 200 locations because of systematic and covert racial discrimination by McDonald's. There are 77 former operators that complains, and together they managed around 300 stores. There are now claims from all of these 300 locations. There are damages of between $4 million or $5 million per store. The total compensatory damages in the legal battle could reach about $1.5 billion. The complainants say there is a massive widespread policy of discrimination that target black franchisees. They claimed that they were pushed into less profitable locations and not given the same opportunities for expanding that other operators were. They said that the firm pushed black franchisees into difficult areas, while operators didn't visit these places, so they lost opportunities for expanding and growing. It also says that the firm retaliated against black franchises and provided misleading projections of locations that were given to black operators. McDonald's responded to the black ex-franchisees' billion-dollar racial discrimination suit by saying it was illogical and self-serving speculation. McDonald's legal counsel and former US Attorney General Loretta Lynch said in a statement that there are legal deficiencies in the complaint that merit dismissal at the early stage. McDonald's has been trying to better its image. Example, it recently hired a new diversity chief. They have also said that they will promote equity between franchises at its offices and among its suppliers. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on factors affecting distribution channel part 1. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. If you have liked the video, do subscribe to our channel. If you want to view these videos in an organized manner, you can visit freecourses.net, where all our videos are arranged in the form of courses. Thank you and see you in the next video.